Hey up, it's Ollie. Just want to share a little bit more with you about Multiply. I've been going to be putting together some more videos over the next couple of weeks and months, thinking about what Multiply is about, how it connects here in Bridlington with Christchurch Network, and what I think God is going to be doing, where I see this going over the next few years, maybe. So last time I talked about our wildflower meadow and letting lots of new things pop up, and I want to think today about when some of those new things are going to be church, and I want to think about what church is. So Multiply is about connecting with younger people, particularly people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, this kind of missing generation in people who regularly connect with church as it is. And so sometimes it's going to be about helping people explore faith, helping people grow in their discipleship to Jesus, to get to know him, to be living the Jesus way and following him. Sometimes it's going to be about training and equipping and supporting leaders and those who are already doing this so that they can be doing that too. But what Multiply is also about is about gathering people as disciples into church. There's a really great quote that I love, which was bouncing around a few years ago. The plural of disciple is church. So one person following Jesus, living the Jesus way, is a disciple of Jesus, kind of a trainee of Jesus, someone who is learning to live like Jesus. They're like an apprentice to Jesus. And when we set off on that journey, we become disciples. And when 2 or 3 disciples are gathered together, the plural of disciple is church. That's what happens. Jesus said, when 2 or 3 of you are gathered in my name, there I am with you. And we see in the New Testament, church looks a lot of different ways, and they gather in different places, and sometimes that's in the kind of formal context around the cultural ways that people used to do it, around gathering in the temple courts, or gathering in the ways that the Jewish people were familiar with. But sometimes it starts looking like people gathering in homes, people gathering along the road, people who are travelling and gathering in convenient places to be church together, to commit to one another. And discipleship life, we've been talking about in Christchurch Network, living the Jesus way, is about daily encounter with Jesus. It's about defined belonging as part of a community, and it's about purposeful service, living Jesus' life of service and love to the world. And church, at its most basic, kind of mirrors that a bit. It's about encounter with God together. It's about gathering together for defined belonging, to be in a community of believers where we're committed to and investing in one another, and where we're connected to the wider, kind of being of. So for us locally, that's about being part of the Christchurch Network, part of the Christians, the churches in Bridlington, but kind of more broadly than that, it's about recognising that we're part of the church in the world and through history, that we're gathered together in Jesus with everyone who is following him and trying to live the Jesus way. And it's about purposeful service. Jesus, God come to descend into the world in this act of love and connection, who gathers us in, but not to sit in a nice holy huddle, but to send us out to love and serve and care for and carry the good news of his kingdom and his freedom to the whole world. And so there's a convenient little, I've done this little, it's on a cardboard cereal box, but it fits nicely as a triangle, this up, that when we gather and we're upwards, our attention is upwards, kind of in a Godward direction, that we're worshipping, we're praying, we're studying scripture, we're having that space for encounter with Jesus. That when we're coming in and of, when we're connecting together and having that defined belonging, when we're having that time to be with one another and to go for depth as well as just kind of rubbing shoulders, but actually to get to know one another properly, to be sharing life together, encouraging one another, supporting one another in this walk of living Jesus' way. This is about what it means to be in, to be part of a defined community of belonging, and to be out, to be those who individually and together are carrying on, picking up this act, this movement of love and good news flowing out to the world, which is the heart of God and which he invites us to join with in love and service, to have purposeful points of serving. So it's not accidental times, but where we're looking for how this is part of our lives. Up, in, out, of. And I think whenever this happens, in whatever form it happens, that is church. Now, sometimes that will look in a way that looks very familiar. It might meet in a building that we would recognise as being a church building. It might meet at a time which we would recognise as being at a church time. It might have even just have that structure where it's maybe the same time each week, the same place each week, where what looks like will look like a recognisable church service, and we would readily say, well, that is the church of whatever, that is the church who meet there. But church, actually, if we look at those basics, it's not a very complicated diagram, and I kind of don't think it needs to be. And so Multiply, one of the things we're going to be doing is going to be looking at how are the ways that we could do church simply, and how are the ways that we could express this up, in, out of, in ways which connect with where people are at in their lives, in ways which means that people can be fully committed to being part of a divine community, can be given opportunities for drawing our attention upwards, and can be helped in that movement out, so that we can be living the Jesus way together and sharing that as a defined community of Jesus followers, to be plural disciples together in ways that fit and ways that work. You maybe have heard already some of the stories about what's happening on West Hill, where we've got the inherited church. The church is already there, that still gathers on a Sunday morning, and which is still brilliant and lovely and really important. But we've got this new thing where actually we recognise that for a lot of people with young families, Sunday morning can be quite a challenge. And what's fitting really well at the moment has been really positively taken up is to explore something on a Thursday tea time, where it's much more chaotic, it's much more informal, but where the depth of relationship there and the being in is really powerful, where we're having real meaningful encounter with God as we draw our attention upwards together, and we're able to explore together, start to explore together what that out might look like and how we're connected more broadly. There's lots of other places around, and some of the things that happen with Multiply might be like West Hill, where it's something that kind of branches off from the side of something that's happened. There might still be some things which kind of fit more with the thing you might have heard around when churches do planting. I know Christchurch has planted previously, where we take a group of people and we start a new thing with that group. And I think with Multiply, some might happen where it grows up like the wildflower meadow. And I'm totally ready. I've got my eyes open for where are there relationships where people are becoming disciples, finding Jesus, and where that might gather together in a place that has no previous relationship structurally to being part of a worshipping community within the Christchurch network or anywhere else, but which has the possibility of becoming a new worshipping community. And that we might find ourselves in situations like Peter in Acts, where he goes to the house of the Gentiles and he finds that they already know Jesus, they're already full of the Spirit, and he finds that there is church happening here, which he didn't expect, which he's not done anything to start, but which God has done, where they've heard the news, they've responded, and we find church growing up in unexpected places. So, up, in, out of, kind of in, of. I think this is church at its most basic. I don't think everything has to be basic, but I think sometimes it's helpful to kind of say, what is the least that could happen for us to call this church, and put that sticker on and say, church is happening here. And sometimes it's important to be able to do that, because then we're not getting caught up in our cultural expectations of what church should look like. We don't exclude people from the movement of what God's doing, and we're able to see the beautiful diversity of how God draws people to him, and how we can do that and live that life together, living the Jesus way. So let's see what happens. More Multiply videos to be coming out, hopefully not all 9 minutes, goodness, but hopefully some good content there. Do get in touch if you want to ask any more questions about this, if you've got any comments or observations. I'd love for this to be a conversation where I'm kind of hearing from others as well, and if this is something you think that you would love to join that journey, or you see a place where God is at work and doing these kind of things, do get in touch. This is something that we're doing together. This is a collaborative effort as we seek God, and as we join in that movement of love and service, and seeing how he's at work in people's lives around Bridlington and who knows where. Right, God bless you. I'll catch you soon.